Hey, everybody, it's Brandon with The Blueprint. Back this week. Super excited for this guest. I know I say that every week, but this is getting really cool every time I get somebody new. So, Davontae Harris, NFL cornerback. Such a good story. I'm really excited about this because, growing up in Texas, football is everything. So, I want to dig in. So, stay tuned. How you doing, Davontae?
I'm excellent. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I really am. I'm super excited about this one just because, growing up, in the South and football in Texas.
Football is huge here.
It's
They
incredible.
take it serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you from?
I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah, hence the nickname Witch.
Witch.
That's what
okay.
everyone calls me, or the Instagram handle Witch Kid.
Yeah, I was going to say I was Witch Kid. That was going to be one of the things I was asking because Wichita, Kansas is, okay, it makes sense.
Home of Lynette Woodard, Barry Sanders, Gail Sayers.
Yeah. Okay.
a lot of people that, did some phenomenal things in my sport in particular. Not Lynette Woodard, but she broke, ground huge in women's basketball. But a lot of people come out of the city, and I'm just proud to be from there. A lot of people don't really come out and say that, but that's why I even go by Witch, or even started, which also a foundation I have is called Wichita Kid Foundation, is because I wanted to be proud of where I came from.
Okay, very cool.
So, yeah.
Well, you got family there still?
Yeah, I got cousins, uncles, and stuff like that. But my parents actually just moved to Tampa a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Wichita, Kansas. You were there from birth?
Yeah.
So birth,
born
grade
and
school,
raised, yeah.
Born and raised there.
All the way through high school. And going into Illinois State and whatnot, really from there. But yeah, from birth to 18, I was in Wichita.
Okay. Very cool. So has football always been your number one?
No, not at all.
Okay. Tell me about that.
So I grew up really big basketball. I wanted to play basketball.
Okay. What position?
Just a guard. I knew I wasn't going to be 7 foot.
Yeah.
But I just was always faster than everybody. So in the neighborhoods that I grew up around, some kids play organized sports, but I didn't really, we couldn't afford to play organized sports, or it wasn't really a thing for us. So I just knew I was faster than everybody. And early on, I really just wanted to play basketball. But I was really too fast for myself sometimes.
Yeah. Out-dribble yourself.
Yeah, but now these kids, they got pro trainers.
Oh yeah.
At 8 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. It was just, me, some kids outside, and we gonna see who's best. We gonna play jackpot, throw the ball up, see who gonna
21.
You know what I'm saying? 21.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the era that I grew up under, but I didn't grow up under structured sports. So I tried out football when I moved in with one of my uncles when I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
Played for 3 games, got moved back over to the other side of town, so I didn't really even get to do anything. Started playing again my sophomore year of high school. So this my sophomore year of high school is basically really my first time really playing football.
Oh, okay. No Pee Wee League, none of that. No middle school stuff.
None of that. Yeah, no, none.
Somebody was just you're quick. I'm gonna put you out on an island out here.
A bunch of series of things. The environment I grew up in was rough.
Okay.
By the time I was 9, my dad was never really around.
Okay.
But my mom, because my 2 older brothers, they got incarcerated at 10 and 12 years old.
Okay.
Super early, 4.5 years apiece.
Yeah.
And my mom turned to drugs and whatnot. So I ended up, kind of bouncing around, ended up moving in with my, I consider him to be my dad now because he's 15 years older than me, so it was a huge gap in just understanding. But yeah, just moved in with him sophomore year of high school, and the football coach asked me to come play football.
Okay.
That's why I play football.
Okay. Just that's so funny. As you go through your life, you never really know what's going to happen. But these things that come into effect with you, and somebody just asks you a question. I always try to say yes to things when people ask me to do something or go somewhere or whatever.
Especially when it's something that, that may be, uncomfortable.
Yeah, out of your
But it was always
zone.
something that I, kind of admired, wanted to be a part of. I just never really been offered, to really play.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know what it would look like. I went out there, even my freshman year of high school, people joke around, but I didn't know what a pick six was.
Okay.
You know?
That's cool.
You know,
honestly, that's true, genuine.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
But I knew that I was faster than you, and I knew I was stronger than you.
Yeah.
And I was going to figure out the information in between.
As a freshman in high school, my man played 7 years in the NFL. As a freshman in high school, didn't know what a pick six was.
No, freshman in college.
And freshman in college.
Freshman in college.
Okay. even better. Okay.
Yeah, no, freshman in college. Yeah.
Okay, so you played as a sophomore in high school.
Yes.
Okay.
Sophomore in high school. That's when I actually started playing football.
And what position was it then?
I played corner and wide receiver, but the story is actually even a little bit more crazier than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing my sophomore year, played like 6-7 games, broke my ankle.
Yeah.
Played my full junior year, had about 6 interceptions. Came back my senior year. I played 1 game my senior year of high school because I tore my large and small intestines.
Okay.
I came back like 6 months later and track season, and I just killed it. And, you know, after they realized that I could play again and that my body was good, Illinois State gave me a full ride football scholarship. And, you know.
Have they already been looking at you going into this point?
Yeah. So, like, I was doing, like, summer camps at, like, K-State because, like, as soon as I got into it, like, that summer, like my family sent me to the Kansas State summer football camp. And, you know, so I did, like, their 3 or 4 day camp or whatever. Just to, you know, just get in the mix. And that was like a eye-opener to me going into these camps, and these kids were like competing.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was definitely a shocker though, for sure. That's
incredible. I mean, the amount of growth for someone who just kind of steps into something to make it as far as you've made it. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Kudos to you, man. That's pretty awesome. You know, resilience, you know, is showing up when it comes to that.
100%, yeah.
So you're going to high school, your senior year, you go through, you get hurt. Summer of senior year, after you graduated, you've already got contacted by Illinois State, or so they've offered you sometime as a senior.
They offered me in around October my senior year. I was still technically out, like I was still technically injured, but just based on what I did my junior year, track season and football, they were like, you know, like this kid this kid is a steal. As long as he can play, he's a steal.
Yeah.
Man, I end up going to Illinois State. My freshman year, I redshirted my first year. Second year, we ended up going to the national championship here in Texas. We played North Dakota State. We ended up losing by like 3 points. But then my redshirt sophomore year, I came back as a starter. You know, end of the season, first team all conference. Junior year, same thing. You know, came out, had a hell of a year, and I ended, you know, All American, getting drafted in the 5th round to the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's incredible.
So, yeah.
So you got out high school, you go to college. What's it like going to college? Because obviously you've gone from bouncing around, trying to find a place to stay.
That's where like Wichita kid.
Yeah.
Kind of, because I was like the only kid that was anywhere close to where I was from. Most of the kids were from, you know,
Texas.
Football players. Yeah, they're from Texas, California, Florida. You know, exactly. And even the students, because I went to Illinois State, they were all from, you know, Chicago or from the Quad Cities. They were from, you know, the Iowa, the Indianas, nobody was from Kansas. You know, so I was kind of like especially like Wichita, like the first thing they talking about is, you know, Dorothy and, you know, Yellow Brick Road. So, you know, I really kind of took that early because all the Florida kids used to, you know, they used to joke around and whatnot because, you know, they know who they are in the competition that they played against.
Right.
Me, I'm still in school, still not even knowing what competition really looks like. Like,
right.
I'm going to the schools thinking that these dudes are about to be like some type of, you know,
superstars,
you know, superstar genetics that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that.
Yeah.
You know, and that helped me a lot because while they went in with the mindset like, oh, I'm going to the NFL, you know, at 18, I was just like, I still got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think that is what ultimately helped me is because even like my junior year of school, I wasn't thinking like I want to go to the NFL. And I was one of the best guys on the team. I was the best guy on the team. Yeah. You know, but I wasn't looking at it like, oh, I want to go to the NFL. I was still trying to do interviews for Cisco systems trying to get, you know, internships and stuff like that. But I just always put in the work, and I don't think I, ever expected that it would be me. And I think that's, in a sense, a testament of just doing the work, because when you expect it, I think sometimes you don't put as much work in because you feel like that you deserve it already. So it's easy to be like, no, I'm not, like, I'm gonna take tomorrow off because
don't have to push.
Because it's already mine. I wasn't even really expecting it. So, and I think that's kind of what happened for me.
Well, that's awesome. So freshman year, you redshirted. Sophomore year, you started?
My redshirt freshman year, I was like a, special teams guy, just going out there, the young guy. Then my redshirt sophomore year is when I got the starting job.
Okay. Took the starting job. How many years did you play as in college?
I played 4 years. So I redshirted, and I played all 4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So I did stay for all 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got your degree and everything. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I ended up graduating, or not. So my last semester, I only had like 6 credits. And, or no. My second to last semester, I only had like 6 credits. So my last semester, I didn't have any classes. So I left early and was able to go train for the draft and stuff.
That's cool. What'd you graduate with?
Business administration.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
So making that shift. So somebody tell me that it happens. Does somebody come up to you and say, you know what, we love your talent? Is it someone from a team? Is it someone from the NFL? Is it someone that says, we think you need to come to the combine? Is it you reaching out and say, man, I really want to try out?
Nah,
like, how does that happen?
Man, it's one of those things that, like, if you're a guy, they'll find you. Like, if you made plays and, you've created a buzz for yourself and you made a difference in your league, whatever it is, like, they'll find you. And that's what I really started to recognize, like, around my junior year. I was having agents just calling me, like, between my junior and senior year, I probably interviewed 60 agents.
Wow.
Probably more.
That's
honestly.
crazy.
Yeah. So it was a big decision. And even, like, late junior year, I was having like private investigators going to my parents' job, like asking them questions about me.
Yeah, checking on you.
Private investigator from the Rams and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how big it actually was.
Yeah.
Until I started to go through the process, and you having NFL scouts, 2-3 of them at a time, coming to every one of your practices. I even had scouts coming and meet me early before my classes. Like, they'd be like, hey, meet me at the building at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
Just a random number. Hey, this is so-and-so from the Chiefs. This is so-and-so from the Titans.
Uh-huh.
So-and-so, hey, meet me. And they just already got film pulled up, and I'm already watching film, getting interviewed. Then I got to go to my class. And then I might have another one around lunch. Like, hey, Cardinals just got in town. Like, hey, do you got time in between lunch? Like, of course. So that's kind of how my entire junior year was. It was like interviewing agents and getting interviewed by scouts.
Okay.
That was my junior and senior year, yeah.
And so from graduation, so you're saying you had scouts, you had agents that you had to interview, and once you selected one, are they the one that took care of getting you into the combine? Or is someone from the NFL reach out to your agent to say, yeah, we'll take him?
Nah, so, all that stuff is like, the combine is completely different than, like, the East-West Shrine game, like basically like an all-star game, or different than the Reese's Bowl. So they're all, like, individual. Like, you have to, it's a group and a board or something that, they invite X amount of players to come to it. So, that was just off of, my senior year. I believe I was up for the Buck Buchanan Award, which was like the best player in the nation, or best defensive player in the nation for like FCS. So when you get on lists and stuff like that, like, they start to come find you.
So what you're saying is, I can't go call somebody tomorrow and I can't get on the combine this next year.
Nah.
Hey, worth a shot.
If you could do that,
everybody.
It wouldn't be any fast people, strong people. It would just be people that had the financial backing.
100%. Yeah. So going to the combine, right? Super interested in this part. When you walk up there, you're seeing people that you've seen on TV. You're seeing people that...
Deion Sanders did ours.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
A local guy again. Yeah. That's cool. So...
Yeah, I remember I walked by. He was like, dang, these corners getting big.
That's awesome. So as you're going into this, like, what are you walking up to? Like, do you meet other guys? You like, what's the conversation like? You guys kind of stoic, or everyone's different?
It's It's different. You talking about just overall, just like the combine environment as a whole?
Yeah.
It was different. It's like the air is thin.
Mm-hmm.
And you go there, you don't really know what to expect, especially like, me, a guy from Kansas.
Which?
You know what I'm saying? And, I'm sure these other guys, either their dad played in the league or they trained with somebody growing up that played in the league or, or they had some type of information from somebody who had played at this higher level. Like, I have a couple mentors and whatnot, but during that process, like it was just me just walking into the combine, like trying to figure it out. But it was definitely like, I played in so many tests, so it wasn't that big of a test. But most guys don't have a good combine experience. I'll tell you that. They wake you up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. You do a piss test, like for drug tests.
Yeah, checking on you.
And then, man, they'll have you stay up. Then they'll have you warming up by like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. You'll start your events. You haven't even got any sleep, and they wanted you to go run a 4.2.
Yeah. They want to check on you, see how you're going to do out in the real life as well when you start partying and become famous and everything else.
Then before then, though, like even like the night before, like they might have scouts, like they have like a room and scouts just text you. They all got your numbers. They'll text you, hey, this is so-and-so from this team. This is so-and-so from this team. They'll text you at 10:50 at night when you're really about to be to bed. Hey, do you got time to meet me in the lobby real quick? I just need 20 minutes. You'll be out there for an hour.
Yeah.
And you still got to wake up at 4 a.m. So like this, I don't know if they do that on purpose or what it is, but like, I don't know. I don't think it's a, I don't know. They're testing way more. I'll tell you, they're testing way more than just the football player.
Yeah, they want to see what you're about.
Even, man, there's a point where you go in with your compressor shorts, and it's like a conference room with like 30 doctors with laptops. Davontae Harris, they say your name, and they, whatever injuries you had in high school. From if you had an injury when you were in 3rd grade, they'll bring it up. And you're basically naked, and they're just looking at you and typing in, your entire injury list.
No physical touch, like checking your knee or anything. Or
well, there's doctors that's there that evaluate everything. If you had any like major issues, then they send you to the MRI side, and that's another 45 minutes to an hour a body part, depending on what you injure. So it's like the combine isn't like one of those things that you think of and you like, oh, that was the best time of my life. No,
you're poked and prodded and questioned, and it's late nights and stressful.
It's like a 3-day full-time evaluation, like the like almost like they're like checking out cattle. Ultimately, so,
I've seen stuff on TV where those guys are going out, or you guys are going out and sitting in front of like a ring of execs, and they're talking to you, and coaches are in there, and team execs are in there, and they're just trying to find out who you are as a person.
Yeah.
You have any of those moments?
Yeah. I mean, you get those, like if there's any inkling in any way, shape, or form that they think they're going to draft you, or that they think that you're draftable. Most teams are going to try and take some time at some point of the year to, I even had a coach, Joe Judge. He was the head guy in New York for a little bit, but he was the main special teams guy in New England with the Patriots. I remember he came in my senior year and was like, the computer was completely turned off. He's like, hey, turn the computer on, go to this software, go to this exact spot in the game, blah, blah, blah. Like, he literally tried to make it as hard as possible just to see if I watch film.
Yeah. He's just trying to find out if you were, what was his name from Seattle that never,
Yeah,
they're testing him the same way, it's
exactly.
Like, trying to find out, and he never did look at any film or anything, and so, good on the Xbox, though. So, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
What about that? That 4.21 speed, you saw that?
Flying.
That's crazy. You ever seen anybody run that fast? Or close?
Man, Tyreek Hill is he can slide.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen speed like in all different levels though too. Like, I'm impressed when I see it, but at the same time, like, there's a saying like, he put on his cleats like I do. Like at the end of the day, you can run a 4.0 flat, but you still got to line it up and go make plays.
Right.
So, yeah.
Were you around a lot of the Kansas City players at the time? And I mean, being from...
playing in Denver for 2 years.
Okay.
we playing KC twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm, in Denver starting that corner, having to line up with Tariq, having to line up with Kelsey, having to line up with, the guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been in some, some environments where I had to, knuckle up and really guard some guys. And, that's part of the game. It's like, you're not going to choose what side you're on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to choose what side I'm on. Give me the best guy. I want to see what I can do too.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, yeah.
So you get drafted, Denver?
No, I got drafted at Cincinnati.
Got drafted to Cincinnati.
5th round.
In the 5th round. What was that moment like? Who'd you have around you? Who was in the room?
Man, it was at first I didn't want to do a draft party, and so I had some people who like a former guy who played in the league, Cameron Wembley. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he played in Tennessee, linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say he went 1st round out of Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
But him and his team paid for my draft party and stuff. So we ended up doing it like a draft party at a nice event. But I knew I was going to get drafted on the first day. Second day, I'm going in not knowing because, I could go 2nd round, 3rd round. You never know. That's kind of like a known thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the combine, I ran a really good time. I went in at 205. I normally played at 195,
mm-hmm.
but I gained an extra 10 pounds just to show I could play corner or safety.
Mm-hmm.
Went to go run a 4.42, put up 22, 23 reps on the bench, number 1 from my class at corner, and just performed really well. So I went from undrafted grade to potential 2nd, 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
So second day I'm kind of watching but not really watching.
Mm-hmm.
Third day is what I plan my draft day for, because I'm like, man, it's the 4th through 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm gonna go one of these, or at least assuming so. So I'm like, man, let me just plan my draft party for the 3rd day.
Mm-hmm.
So I planned it for the 3rd day, and 4th round goes, and I'm thinking man, I could go in the 4th round. It ends, and I'm like, man, these dudes ain't drafting me. So I go downstairs, and literally the 3rd pick of the 5th round, since he calls me, and I hear my family upstairs screaming. I'm like, oh, they did call. So yeah, they end up 151st pick.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so you see those guys all the time that go into the green room or whatever, and they're waiting around. And I mean, last year was a big one. Was it Will Levis who was in there for first round, and he had to come back the next day or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I felt horrible for that situation, right?
Because that's a tough situation to be in, because everybody's looking at you like, hey, you're next, and you might not be next.
Yeah.
I know people in business situations don't get called at all.
Yeah, or even people start looking at you like maybe he's injured, or maybe he's got something wrong, or maybe
or
people
just
figure things out.
Not just that though, but I don't know if people realize, but when I go back home, it's not a crazy huge city, but it's over 500,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very well known at home. So if the whole city's news articles say, oh, he's so and so going to be drafted, and I'm planning this draft party, and I got 50 of my close people at my house.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be looking around like, dang, they still ain't called your name.
Yeah.
So it kind of almost in a sense you build the expectation for yourself.
Yeah.
And it makes it harder just because you got all those people that's waiting on you.
Yeah, and it's hard to plan out too, it's emotional, right?
It is,
it's a big emotional time it's a big dream
they're not
for a lot of people.
You can't re-enter next year.
Yeah.
This is your one time to get your name called, whether it's first or last or not at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only year you're going to get your name called.
You ever think about going up to the draft and walking across the stage?
Like the idea of it?
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't grow up, with that expectation of myself.
Yeah.
Or even thought to play football. I was kind of removed from it, kind of like tennis. I don't play tennis.
Yeah. But
that's how I was in football, but I just happened to get into it.
Yeah,
so I know a lot of guys are, 10 years old and they imagine themselves what it would look like. I never really had that moment. So for me, when the moment came, I was able to be in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What'd you feel at that moment?
Like the work was just about to start.
Yeah.
Because everybody else, everybody else sees they see, oh, he making $1 million, but really that's not. like you still got to go earn your money.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to go to training camp and go. You still got to go to OTAs and earn your money.
Mm-hmm.
You could get your name called, and all they owe you is your signing bonus, and they could cut you, and whatever big deal you think you just signed is not yours.
Yeah.
So like I went into it knowing the reality of it. Like, yeah, I was excited, that, I was given a little bit more of an opportunity or a little bit more of a little head start as somebody who was undrafted.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I didn't go first round. I knew that, I still had to go work to even be considered that year. Not 3 years from then, but like that year.
Does that bring pressure with it?
It's more pressure, honestly, than what you could ever even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's why, getting off into the world and, going into a room, speaking to people, like I'm in a room with like legit billionaires, and I'll walk up to them, hey, Davontae Harris, nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've handled so much, there's not an environment I feel like I can go in that I can't handle whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has raised my confidence in some way that most people probably just don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know I got to go perform on Sunday in front of the 75,000 people that's in the building and the 25 million people that's watching.
Mm.
Like everybody, most people don't have to do, no offense, but graphic design with 1 million people over their shoulder watching.
Yeah. Exactly.
Whatever mistakes you make, only you know.
Mm-hmm.
When I make a mistake, everybody watching sees my mistake.
Yeah.
So
I feel that. So
even our practices, like you can't even, can't even practice your work without being evaluated.
And everything, especially on that side of it, like we use a lot of things to back ourselves up with analytics, and you do too after you perform and get in the season.
Yeah.
But getting up to that point, it's opinion.
Yeah. And that's what training camp is. Training camp is install. Teams trying to figure out what plays they want to install, what players they want to use for these. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's really just they say the game of inches, but like if you got 10 reps and this other guy has 100 reps, like, he might can mess up 5 times, but if you might only have the ability to mess up once.
Yeah, yeah.
So you really learn to just, maximize your opportunities and to just, take it by the chin. Because, it's going to be adversity.
Mm-hmm.
If you go step in front of Tyreek Hill or Davontae Adams, he could get his too.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's just a matter of knowing that, like, he might get a few, but I got to get my place too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just think I just protect that mindset in everything I do.
Mm-hmm. So, drafted by Cincinnati, go in the very first year. Talk about that first year, like walking into the stadium. Give me the whole experience.
It was tough just because, like, I come from Division I AA FCS, so it's still like the guys that went to Alabama's and the LSU's and the A&M's, whatever school you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Like we played them in school. We played like Big Ten teams like Iowa and Northwestern. Like we even beat Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
But like you still in your mind think like, now I got to play against the best of the best from those schools, not just guys from those schools, but the best of the best. And I'm coming from FCS.
Mm-hmm.
So, not really knowing. I was just more so just locked in. Like I couldn't really even reach the excitement of being in the NFL just because like I knew that I still had to go grind. Like I knew that if I had 10 plays at practice, I needed all of them or I need at least 9.
Right.
And it ain't just if this guy's better than me. It's like if my defense was easy in college and this team that I got brought to has a crazy install and these guys have been in the system 3 years and I'm just trying to catch up, like I'm already behind. Or if there's a guy that went to, Texas Tech and the other corner that's in the room, played with him at Tech, he got him a mentor at LinkedIn already.
Right, yeah.
Coming from where I came from, like I had to like develop that relationship through training camp.
Yeah.
But now I'm 3 months behind because I'm trying to get to know these dudes, and these dudes already know each other. So it's so many different variables that determine like how you move forward and whatever you're going on. So my rookie year was hard because second game of preseason I messed up my knee. I messed up my LCL. And I was out for most of the season. So I came back the last 4 games. Like, they activated me and I'm going to like trying to, from not playing all year to just thrown out there, and like not just this ain't preseason games no more. This is real games where they throwing you out there and you getting double teamed at gunner just to get you out on the field. If you don't go make that play, shoot. If you can't go play gunner, then we can't put you in that corner. You know, so it's definitely a lot of stress that goes into it, and a lot of expectations. You know, you go from being the guy in school to being a guy, and you got to perform. When your number is called, you got to make plays, and there's no way around it. There's not like a guy that recruited you that's like, hey man, like I'm pushing for you, like come on. Nobody that is making decisions is going to come to you and try and pat you on the back. Either you're going to perform or you're not. And so, yeah.
So you walk into that locker room first time.
With knowing that only 5 to 6 corners are going to stay on the roster. And that 5 of those guys in that room, 4 out of the 5 of roster spots were first round draft guys from the year before, the year before, and the year before that. Guys that were, winning Jim Thorpe Awards and stuff. Were already in that room. And it's 6 of us that's competing basically for one active spot.
6 people for one spot.
For one spot.
And you won that one spot.
So it's just the way of the league. I got hurt early. Other guys got hurt in the midst of the season. So by the time I was ready to come back, I was good enough, moving well enough that the spot was available for me.
That's awesome.
So I just happened to go in, make plays, and so yeah.
So let's talk about the first time you walked in and you're sitting, the team's getting ready to play. It's on a Sunday, I'm guessing. You walk in, everybody's hype. What's the day like from the morning you wake up?
Like my first game, knowing that I'm going to be playing?
First game, knowing you're going to play, you're walking in.
Preseason or regular season?
Regular season game.
Man, I'm just trying to memorize my playbook as best as possible, because ultimately, like going out there, like that guys are going to be athletic, the guys are going to be fast, they're going to be strong, and that they got families just like you, so they're not going to take a play off to make you look good.
Right, 100%.
Ultimately, so I mean, you just try and put yourself in a position where you can go out there and play fast. And try and get comfortable enough in the game earlier enough that you can catch rhythm. Because if you're like timid early in the game and they catch a few balls on you, now it's hard to get back on it. Because now, like, they got your number. Now they're going to throw it to you now they doing double moves just because they know that you a soft spot.
Because you're biting on something. Or,
So now you got the whole rest of the game would deal with them picking on you. Or you can go in and you can make a few stops early and, make them have to go play football.
Or they'll focus somewhere else.
Exactly. So.
So you
and corner being corner, nobody is out there to save you.
You're on an island.
Like at best, cover 2, you might have a safety playing over the top if you get a go ball. But like for the most part, you're out there by yourself playing the best athletes on the field.
Right. And you never played slot. You always played outside.
Played outside, yeah.
Okay. First time you saw your name on your jersey?
Man, I sent it to everybody I knew. And, I really did, just because, like I was saying, going through school, it was not something that I was like, aspiring to be. So, for me, it was kind of like I just woke up one day and I was in the league. And, I just put in a lot of work, and, I happened to be the chosen one from that aspect. But yeah, I sent it to everybody I knew.
So I'm guessing your phone blew up that day.
Yeah, it did. You talking about draft day?
Well, draft day, I'm sure it blew up.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was insane.
It took you a while to get through all those thank yous and this is cool.
100%.
Yeah, and so you see your name on your jersey, you take a pic, you send it to everybody. How are you handling the atmosphere that comes with being an NFL player at this point?
In regards to just like how people perceive you, maneuvering through rooms.
Yeah, like into the world, like women and stuff coming up to you and having to protect yourself and those things that you have to navigate. You know what I mean?
It's tough because people always tell you what's going to happen, and they can always give you a perspective on what that might look like. And you might go into it like confident as hell, like, oh man, dang, I'll never do that. That'll never be me. And then that challenge gets in front of you, and then it's like, Oh man, I didn't even know. Like I just did that already.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know that was a challenge that they were talking about, and it happened. I didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, definitely like women were definitely in a huge way a challenge because like you're going traveling to new cities and they don't have to know who you are exactly, but they know you're in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You're automatically on their list.
A target.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all people. That's people reaching out to you, financial advisors. That's, cousins that I haven't seen since I was 7 saying they got rent that need to be paid. And, you got it, cuz. So, it's, from, your teachers reaching out to you, trying to come to your games, trying to make you available for them. People, when I would go play the Chiefs, everybody asked for tickets. It's like it came with a lot of pressure. And, I feel like almost overnight, you become the man of your family. Especially if you come from families that don't have much.
Right.
You overnight become, the decision maker. When, just a year before, months before, nobody would ask your advice.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's it like, having to go through that transition, to where, trust is an issue at this point.
You got to navigate people as a whole.
Yeah.
Trying to navigate family, really, because people always say that's always family that's the closest. So you're always trying to navigate, who has your best interest and who doesn't. And I remember he's technically my cousin, but I consider him to be my dad. But he came to me and sat me down. He was like, "Man, I just want you to know, like, you can't help everybody with everything."
Yeah.
He's like, one thing that I always do is he said, "I will never take care of your need, but I can probably do something for one of your wants." He said, if you take care of people's needs, they're gonna always come back. It's like clockwork, you know what I'm saying? Like if I pay your light bill next month, it's not like you're not gonna need lights. So I'm gonna be the first person you call. But if it's a gift, or if it's like something that could advance you, or whatever it is that something that you want, then maybe I can fill that void of your want because you're not expecting it. Every single time, because at the end of the day, like I did it because it was a want. You didn't need it from me. It's not something that you're gonna come back month after month after month after month and expect me to deliver that for you.
That's interesting, man. When you said that, I thought you said it backwards, and I was trying to read through that, and I was like, and you kept explaining that, and I thought, wow, that really kind of opened my eyes. You would think, man, I can't really take care of those wants, man. That's a desire. You don't really need that. I can't help you. Your light bill, I can help you with. That's what I was thinking about. The way that you position yourself to say that, man, if you could do this, you're going to do it again next week and again next week and again next week, right? Like, you're going to keep having your hand out on that deal.
Exactly.
And that's tough.
But like the want is like, I can insert when I feel necessary, when I'm financially able to, or if I just want to, then I have that option to say, yes, I will do this for you, or no, I won't do that for you.
Yeah.
But when it's a need, it's like, now that's breaking our friendship. That's breaking our relationship because now it's like, I may not fully have it, and you over here like,
I need it,
pushing me because you don't have it. And last month I took care of it, and now whatever extra money you had, you put it towards that because you're like, oh, I can ask him again.
Yeah, man, that's. So, I never thought about it from that perspective. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
as you have your people surrounded you and.
Because you want to take care of the stuff that people need. You don't want your people's lights to be out.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, he also would, put in the perspective that, like, if I don't have it, nobody has it. So, like, if I lose everything to provide for people that, can't do, and that's another thing, is he said always, like, never do anything for anybody who's not willing to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's, just another testament to, like, taking care of the needs. Like, somebody that is a grind and go getter, like whether they get down to their last, they're going to take care of what they need to get taken care of. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he would always say is like, like it's never help somebody that's not willing to help themselves.
Yeah.
Because now that became your job.
Dang. So, man, that kind of stunned me for a second.
No, it hit home.
Yeah, for sure. You grind all the time, and you're trying to get ahead and you're trying to do things and you want to do things to help other people out, especially in your family, right? And so, man, that changed my perspective on something for a minute. So, thanks for that. Even when you get to the point, you ever catch somebody that just completely cut you on something? You're like, man, I thought we were something, and then you did me like X.
Yes and no. Like, like not anything that I feel like was ultimately life changing, but for the most part, I feel like you learn to expect the unexpected from people, and then you won't be surprised.
Yeah.
So I would say no, because people haven't done anything that I wouldn't expect people to do. Maybe it may be the person that you may not have done it. You may not expect them to do it, but that doesn't make it abnormal for a person to do you that way. And when you realize that everybody's people, you let go of expectations of what you think that they should be, and you just allow them to form that perspective for you based on how you interact with them.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I don't think of it from that perspective. I always think of like, your word is your word. What you say you're going to do is what you're supposed to do. And when somebody goes against it, it really cuts me.
Yeah.
Because I expect you to live up the way that I want to deliver to you.
100%.
This is who I see myself as being, so I expect you to kind of reciprocate that. If we're going to be,
that's why perspective matters, though.
Yeah.
Like you come from a different upbringing than me. You come from a different environment than me. You know what I'm saying? Like in my house, like you got to take your shoes off at the door. In your house, it may not be. You may be accustomed to a different, rule. So, I just try and be transparent with people, just so you know how we operate in my house.
Yeah.
And that way, you know exactly. Now you're aware, and you have your perspective is aligned with mine. So when you do something that's what I consider disrespectful, or what I would consider as cutting me, then you're more than aware of what you're doing. And then now I'm willing to take it personal, because you were fully aware of how this would affect me.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love this podcast, is because I get to step into a whole bunch of different perspectives.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had billionaires on here, we've had top authors in the world, we've had big brands for people. I mean, just like it's really cool, to see like where everybody comes from, and their perspective in general about who they are and how they navigate through the world. Right?
Yeah.
It's really cool man, I appreciate that. It kind of got me.
100%.
So Cincinnati, going to year 2. What's that like?
Zach comes in. I can't think of his last name. He's the head coach over at Cincy right now.
Yep.
Came in from the Rams. He was a QB coach, got the head coach job. Basically let go of all the guys that wasn't fit his system. So I got released in that mix. Broncos activated me to 53 immediately. Started going to Denver, not really knowing what to expect, and I got dropped off in Denver, and I loved it for the most part. Had to get adjusted to the altitude on like my first week. Like my first day, I'm like, I'm getting cut. Like I'm not about to make it here.
Can't breathe.
Just because the altitude was it was so much different than what I was used to. But got in and really just embraced the special teams role, because you coming from being a college starter, deciding if you want to go play gunner or if you just want to go get a pick, or I was calling my own blitzes in school. You know what I'm saying? To go from that to my second year, just having to really embrace a role, and from there, like I saw guys go from being a special teams guy to getting into the starting position. So, I did that my first 7-8 games in Denver, and was like, making a lot of plays, catching a lot of buzz. Like I was, special teams captain of the week, 5 out of those 8 games, like making a lot of plays. So I just end up about game 8, it was kind of some inconsistency in the corner room, and I was making a lot of plays at gunner and on special teams. So they called my number, and I was, the starter for the next 7-8 games. So I was able to, really, really jump in and play football like at a high level. But, I also had to get thrown there and learn, basically the entire playbook every
all
week,
over again.
Really fast. It was a different change of pace, because, like my first year I was hurt most of the year. Then come back my second year going straight in. Basically, it was like an accelerated rookie year, my second year.
You're really working the iPad at this point, trying to get the plays down.
I'm really, in the game plan, they have me, they're having Chris Harris go with the main guy, and I'm going with, if I end up on Travis, and I'm on Travis. If I do this, you know what I'm saying? So I was definitely finally really, really getting into playing football. And that to me was amazing. Like, one of the best parts was I invited like 10 or 15 of my friends. It was I don't know if it was my first career start game, but I remember, coming out the tunnel, because all the, like the starters come out last. One game they'll announce the offense, one game they'll announce the defense. So my first game, been announced in Mile High, in front of, 65, 70,000 people as a starter was, insane. So that was like that was like the first moment where I was like, yo, I'm actually here.
Yeah.
Because,
I've arrived.
Mile High is a historical, place to play, and some of the best football has been played there. And it's one of those stadiums that everybody has on their bucket list. Everybody wants to go see a game Mile High. So yeah, that to me was,
And so you finished out the year in Denver?
Yeah.
Starting the entire time?
And so towards the end, a couple of the guys that they had as a starter, that we were like,
back and forth,
going back and forth, yeah, because they were basically giving them the ability to, get the job back. But I was playing well, so they couldn't just take me off the field completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so at this time, social life is like what?
Man, it was in Denver only, like it was all obviously like football was the priority, but like, family and all that stuff, unless you were in the city, like it was hard to, it was probably hard to reach me because like it was just so much going on. I'd been a starter for the first time. Like I'm having, people interview me and stuff, and like, all the time, like I'm actually like, getting put in position to where like they're doing like, stories on me, like, inviting me to like, go-karts and stuff like that, so the local news can, do stories on me and stuff like that. So it started to like really, really grow. And, I just connected with some of the right guys, like, Chris Harris Jr. Took me under his wing. He's we had the same last name. They call us Harris Island because my last name Harris is, and we were the starting corners at the time. And guys like, he's the reason why I moved to Dallas in the first place. I came here to train with him. After that year playing with him in Denver. But guys like, Von Miller coming up to my locker the first time, like, hey, I'm Von.
Yeah.
And, inviting me to his house every week, and, really take me under their wing. I'd been to Miami with them. I'd been to, New York for New Year's with them. This past summer, he reversed our brand launch party. He came to our launch party. Tavon Austin, like, some, Sidney Jones, like now some of our really close friends, but like some really, big time players in our game.
That's awesome. And so you're building this community together, and you guys are kind of just on lockdown, or you guys are partying heavy, or you guys are like really digging in at this moment?
So Vaughn used to have this thing called Club 58. It was in his basement. Anytime we get a win, everybody knew to go to Club 58.
Yeah.
I can't go into too many details, but Club 58 was a good place to be.
Yeah, that's one of the that's one of the things that I've seen is like, at some point you stop going out.
Yeah.
You really bring the party to your house.
I mean, we would go out, like if it was like Halloween or something, like, they would like the whole team would go and do whatever, or, I remember going like sitting, courtside with some of the guys, Kareem Jackson. He was our safety there, doing different things like that. But yeah, like it's definitely a lot to do, like in my free time, I always enjoy going to the mountains. I always go up to the mountains, kind of hike a little bit. You got Red Rock Theaters up there. There's always concerts. There's, 100%. Denver, there's so much to do, and I always enjoy, like, until this day when I go back, there's like 6 restaurants, I go and I eat free just because I navigated through the city. I built really good relationships, and, so, yeah.
Now, Red Rock's on my bucket list. I have not gone to see anybody there yet.
I haven't been there, but actually one of my guys, shout out to the mayor, Squizzy Taylor. he hosts a lot of events at Red Rock.
Okay.
You know, for like major artists. Like I want to say Lil Wayne and you know, different people like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's like I want to say he used to be on the radio, but now he owns a club out there, and he's a pretty good, big time DJ.
I'm telling you, I went on a tour out there one time. We went through it. I had a buddy that was in the military, so we went through
nice.
there. Oh, it's beautiful.
It is,
especially during the summer.
Yeah,
You know, the winter I'm not so much about snow and cold.
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, I never went up in the did like
the mountains,
like snowboard, nothing like that. Yeah. I was always scared too.
Yeah,
playing.
Yeah,
getting injured. You get injured 100%. Doing something like that. Just go home, bro. Yo, here, you know what I'm saying? Play with your money.
Yeah, you don't even want to win. Yeah,
that's how they look at it.
Yeah. So we went down there and I walked through Red Rock, and Red Rock, I mean, nobody was there, just us, right?
Which is even better.
It's so cool. And I was in there trying to throw my vocals out. I mean, I ain't no good at singing, but it was really cool because it was
just being in the moment.
Yeah, you know. And so I was there with my wife and a friend of mine and somebody else, and man, just the whole place is just. I mean, I know
it's beautiful.
Everybody knows what it is. It's an amphitheater built out of a side of a mountain, but
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and then the acoustics in it are just insane. Unreal.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, now to be there is really surreal. Yeah, because there's nothing like it.
Yeah,
you know, maybe Utah might have something like it, if anything close.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's nothing like it.
Yeah, and then we drove up on Pikes Peak, and they had flakes coming down, like huge. You know, like 3 or 4 inches across and hit you, and you felt like you got hit by a snowball, but it was just a flake hit you. And I was like, man, this is crazy. You know, coming from Dallas, you know, I'm 5 generations from this area.
Yeah.
You know.
All you know is heat.
Yeah, that's it. We know heat. You know, we get 2 inches of snow sometime. Everybody's like, y'all see that? I made a snowball out of it.
Exactly.
You know,
so, no, I've seen it.
Yeah. So, well, that's cool. And so you finished up the second year in Denver. You move over.
Denver, I come back Denver.
Third year.
Third year, yeah. Okay. Played 8 games through there. I won't say I messed up my hamstring. I was out maybe, 4 games or something like that. Came back. I think I might have messed it up again. Still dominating on special teams every time I'm in the game. Still, starting, in gaps. Get released during COVID, just because it was like the code was a show.
Yeah.
Baltimore, they picked me up, they activated me to the 53, and my first 10 games in the building, we were going in order to get into any of these buildings, during this COVID period, it was insane. You'd have to sit out the building, get tested, and you have to wait your testing period. So my first 10 days, I'm only meeting everybody through Zoom.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple days into it, we go into the building, there's a breakout. So everybody got to leave, go back to the hotels and stuff. So the day of the game, I'm suited up active, the starting gunner and starting on all the teams, and the players don't even know who I am. They're like, hey bro, what's your name? On the bus, hey, what's your name? Hey, my name is Davontae. Or no. Actually, I said my name is Witch. But they like, man, Witch, man, what's your name? A dude named Anthony Levine. He's actually, I want to say he lives here in Texas, but I don't know where he's from originally. But he's their special teams guy. He was there 12, 14 years in one place, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
But he's like, Witch. He's like, man, I ain't calling you that, man. What's your real name? He was like, man, you got to make plays here to get a nickname. And I'm like, man, my name Witch, but you can call me Davontae. So, we go off in the game, and maybe the second or third series, I go out at gunner and I'm flying. I come down, smack the dude, he fumbled the ball, and Levine is the one that scoops it up to pick up the fumble recovery. I come off, he's hyped as hell, yeah. He like, your name is Witch, you Witch. So then,
Witch.
Yeah, then after that, I was Witch from the D coordinator on down.
Somebody go get a Witch real quick.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was I come in, I want to say in the second quarter, beginning of the third quarter, and there, they play all man, so they threw me in that corner, and they hey, if you active here in Baltimore, you gonna play. The guy went down, and I had to go red zone. One of the top receivers, Deontay Johnson, he was in Pittsburgh at the time, and that's who we were playing, Pittsburgh. That's a huge rivalry. Nobody in the stadium. He goes runs a double move like in the red zone 25 yard line. He runs it out and up, and I cover it, flip turn, punch the ball out, like we off the field. And it was just a surreal day as a whole to just come out there, not know anybody, I'm having Des Bryant like tweet at me like, man, 33 making plays. Like he didn't even know my name yet. He's calling by my number. But yeah, it was. So, a couple of games after that, I'm still like they did a lot of nickel. So when nickel came to the game, I was the first corner off. So, I just went in, asserted myself, and was making plays. So.
That's awesome. And so you really made some quick friends there.
Yeah.
Right. And so how long were you at Baltimore?
So I was there to finish that year, and then I went into that. Like the league is, it's crazy. Like I went in that following year. We're about to have my little girl. My soon-to-be fiance was like 7.5, 8 months pregnant, and that's kind of where the brand Reverse was born. It was just. The year before in Baltimore, we were staying in like a upscale apartment complex, like a 10th of a mile from where we had just moved to. Like the following year, we were trying to get into a townhouse, and it was bad. Like a little juice box held up the little dishwasher, like a little piece of wood. They had like rats. Yeah, it was like $3,600 a month. I'm thinking I'm about to get like a luxury townhome, right? But it was just just a lot going on. But it's a story behind how the brand was birthed. But basically I went into that year. My daughter was born maybe like a week before training camp, so I was already like out of the place. Like I'm up trying to, this is my first time being a dad, so I'm trying to help as much as possible, trying to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, feed her, doing stuff that I probably shouldn't be doing, right. Going into training camp. And it's a long story. But basically I was in Baltimore that year. I could tell a backstory of some back end stuff that would surprise a lot of people on how it actually goes in the building. But it'll be kind of a long story. Yeah. But yeah, played in or left that training camp or got released because I had a falling out with the defense coordinator. Went over to San Fran.
Wait, so you went from making plays, getting burned, to next thing you know, it's like had a fallout.
So basically, let me give you like the quick synopsis on basically like what happened. So, spring ball that year, like I'm making a lot of plays. Like I'm making a lot of plays, and then we're about to go into training camp, and I'm hyped because I'm like, man, I basically started here, like getting here just last year, made a bunch of plays. Like all these people know me, they respect me. Like at the very least, I'm gonna get a special teams job. But I know, like they threw me in a corner, and obviously I have started experience. I've started a lot of games. I made a lot of plays, so I'm going to the year thinking like, like I'm gonna be good. So we at the end of the year in Baltimore, they had this thing called a keeping it real meeting. And it's basically when the D coordinator gets with the entire defense after OTAs and basically, or like a mini camp after mini camp. And it's like, he puts up the roster, he goes through first string, second string, third string, down to fourth string, whatever, if that's how far it went. He would go and say, hey, Marlon, you're this, and this, this, and this. This is what we need you to do to win a Super Bowl this year. He would go through the whole list from defensive linemen to linebackers, etc. But the day before, like I just kind of had an idea on how the defense coordinator was kind of interacting with me, and I just didn't like it. I didn't respect it. So he came. I called Marlon Humphrey, and he was like their guy. They had just paid him $99 million, like 4 year, $99 million, something crazy. Yeah. So I know he can say what he wants, and he always gonna say his opinion. So I called Marlon, like, yo, like Wink, because he's the defense coordinator at the time. And I was like, man, every time he goes to a list or whatever, he just skips me. He'll never ask me questions. He'll never do this. Like, it seems like he's trying to get me out of here, bro. And I'm trying to I'm trying to navigate through it. Like how do I, approach this coach without getting to his pride? How do I get my point across, or how do I get, just evaluate me for the results that I'm putting out here? Not, so we get to the keeping it real meeting, and I knew he was going to skip me. So he's about to close up the meeting and didn't say my name or another player. And Marlon was like, nah, coach, what about Kristen Witch? He was like, well, which when you first got here, we brought you here to play special teams, right? I was like, Coach, I came here to play football. And he was like, yeah, but like when we first brought you on, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's a defensive meeting. He like, we brought you here to play special teams, right? And I'm just looking around the room like, Coach, I don't know what you want me to say, but like, I came here to play football. Yeah. Like, and in my mind, it wasn't me trying to be disrespectful. It was me saying like, in front of all of my peers, I'm not going to allow you to minimize my value in this building. Mm-hmm. I know I can go play corner. Right. I know I've played at the high level. You've seen me. I've done it in, underneath your, underneath you.
Yeah.
So like in that moment, like I just, really kind of just stood my ground. Like, Coach, I came here to play football. Like, I don't know what you're trying to get me to say in front of all these people, but like, I came here to play football.
But I'm not buying it.
And from that day, like he would walk past me in the hallway and not even make eye contact. So I knew I was out of there.
You knew it was over.
Yeah.
And so then you went to?
San Fran.
Okay.
John, what's John's last name? The GM.
Okay.
John, you know John.
He was a Mile High guy too, right?
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Safety.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name right now, but real good dude. One of the best GMs, most down to earth.
Yeah.
Guys that, they brought me over because, they had seen me play corner, seen me play teams.
Mm-hmm.
And they called me immediately after Baltimore released me. And I went over there. My first special teams meeting, I just got thrown right into training camp because this is like mid-training camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I get thrown straight into training camp. And like my first practice there, I'm on teams. And that's kind of what they threw me in at Gunner because it's kind of, over the course of years, what I've been known for.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to like the first meeting, and the special teams coordinator already knew who I was. He's like the start of the meeting is 5 plays of me, people on teams. Like, hey, you young guys, they just brought in, Davontae Harris. Like, y'all better get ready because they not just bringing in anybody. And he just showed them, plays of me going down there, forcing fumbles and stuff. And so I'm here thinking like, oh, like I'm gonna play here, like what I'm saying, like these guys obviously know my resume.
Mm-hmm.
So I messed up my hamstring, just being a speed guy, hamstring being an issue, second or like my second year in a row basically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we get through that, and I'm feeling guys like physical, just come down guys to a point to where they're just trying to like really, really keep me on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
Since I messed my hamstring, I'm down 6 weeks. I come back and I play. They activate me for a game, and they're trying to like decide if they want to keep me on practice squad for another week or if they want to activate me up. And I'm like, Coach, like I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like I'm used to playing football. You can't just have me sitting on ice. Like, I know I can go out there and as long as I'm healthy, I could play.
Yeah.
So I basically texted one of the coaches that I had played for in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
He had just gotten the DB job over and with the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
And I had watched them on film multiple times, and I was watching their special team guys. I'm like, these dudes are not it.
Yeah.
So I texted him like my second week on practice squad, like, yo, like I need y'all to come get me.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to come get me that same week. San Fran blocked it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can only block somebody from being picked up after a certain amount of times before you got to activate them yourself, or you got to release them and let the other team. So after this third week, basically, that San Fran couldn't block me anymore. John, they like, hey, just stay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, I'd really want to, but I can't. So I left and went to the Chargers. Got activated and started a bunch of started probably like 2 or 3 games in the last 8 games at corner, and just again went in and asserted myself on teams and made a bunch of plays.
That's awesome. And then so the next year after that,
the next year after that, I signed a week late to Chicago with the Bears, and I'm going in and I'm making play after play after play, but I could tell like they're tanking the season. They traded Roquan halfway through the season and a bunch of other stuff. So, they had me on practice squad the whole like 6-8 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's when, instead of me just like, a lot of guys get really depressed when they feel like their role gets minimized.
Yeah.
And instead, man, I really got really deep into meditation. There's a guy there named Harrison Hand who like was really in tune with him. So he's walking around barefoot with his linens on. Was just very intentional, very big on breathing, very big on energy. And that's what a lot of my brand is built off energy, frequency, and vibration. So being on practice squad, I'm practicing, but I'm not playing this week. So for the 8 weeks, I'm literally in the room making designs, coming up with whatever typography I want, coming up with logo designs, coming up with concepts, coming up with, really putting together my brand Bible for my brand, and really diving in and learning myself, getting up every day, doing a daily meditation, and really, tuning into myself, trying to, put the focus in my control. Like I knew what I couldn't control, but I knew I could control how I did it. So, I was still collecting a check week by week.
Yeah.
And I was still locking into the meetings and whatnot, but it was hard for me to just buy into it without, trying to build something that I knew could, so I was building my brand, guys like Jalen Johnson, Pro Bowler over, I'm like, hey bro, what you think about this? And meeting, bro, what you think about this?
Yeah.
To like week 8, Tennessee calls, they activate me, they brought me on to practice squad, and I'm like, bro, like I can't keep doing this anymore.
You feel like it's starting to wrap up at this point?
I just not necessarily wrap up, because every place I'm getting, like I'm killing these guys. Like when it comes to like my role's always been, whether it's corner or what, like I'm always gonna go out there and compete. I'm always gonna make plays. I'm picking off, like no offense, but like I'm picking off, Justin Fields at practice, pick six, and they don't care about that.
Did you tell them what pick six meant?
Yeah, at this point I know.
At this point I got you. Yeah.
But like, I'm, making plays, and it's like it is not translating. So I just started, put the and I get to Tennessee, and they had like a Thursday night game. I get there on like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And they brought me on a practice squad, but at this time, after COVID, you can be activated up to 3 games per year and be on practice squad. So they activated me 1 game. I played well. Activated me game 2, played even better. Activated me game 3, still playing well. So after that, they either have to put you back on practice squad, or they have to elevate you to the 53.
Yeah.
So, I'm still playing well. So they ended up activating me to 53. So I ended up finished the year in Tennessee active. So I finished the last 8 games there, just killing it on teams. So, yeah.
So, and then was Tennessee your last stop?
End of, or the beginning of 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so at this point, things are now starting to shift for you, right? You're thinking, now I need to start building into the brand. Like, what's next? Where do I go from this?
Well, more so, I feel like it was a lot of me, because I know guys. I know a guy that's been on practice squad for 7 years in a row. That's just not me. I'm not a. I've had CFL, GMs calling me like, "Hey, man, we can come out here next week. We, offer you X amount of dollars." Just not interested. Like if I really, really want to be on the team right now, I know a few spots I could be on.
Yeah. That's not where your heart's at.
For me, it was just, the lack of control I had. You know what I'm saying? I could go in and then give it my all. And if it just wasn't the guy that they chose, or if it was, whatever played out in that building, like it wasn't just off of just pure talent. It wasn't just off pure work ethic. It wasn't just off pure, it was hard for me to buy into it. So I was going into the building not really buying into it like I feel like I should have at those times. You know what I'm saying? And then when number does get called, then it's like I'm not even ready because I wasn't bought in.
Right, yeah.
So like when I just kind of felt myself in that space, like I wanted to challenge myself in a different space. I wanted to, I always hear how tough it was to start a business, but I also heard how tough it was to get to the NFL.
Yeah.
So I wanted to challenge myself. So I started a clothing brand and a black car service.
So at this point, you reverse the situation?
I reverse engineered myself.
Okay.
That's what I would more so consider to have. And that's also kind of how what reverse is. Like I do it daily. I reverse engineer myself. The things I liked last year, I like this year. Because of me evolving my perspective on, how I think my life should look.
Right. And so reverse is just about you taking a different spin and a different outlook on where you were before,
I
or
would
reinventing yourself.
In a sense, like reinventing myself. There's terms like reflection. Different things that you have to do. I would say reverse is not a name; it's more like a process. Like every day, like you have to reverse engineer. Even your podcast. It might be something that you do this week that next week you don't even really like anymore.
Right.
That's part of reverse engineering your process. Like after a year, it may look completely different than what it did the first time.
Yeah.
So
I hope I'm actually good at this at some point. So we'll see if we get there or not.
Yeah.
But no, so can you elaborate a little bit more on your brand and like where you're going into? Like, what's the first steps? You start with concept. You start sketching stuff up. You start like what's the brand play on this?
So like in regards to like what space this is gonna be in, or like the meaning behind it, or so like on one of my caps it says design with intentions to raise the vibrations. So that's like a big thing is I'm always really big on energy, frequency, and vibration. That's like universal. I'm not sure if you know about like the Nikola Tesla like 369 theory and stuff like that. So I'm really big into like numbers as well. And really it's mostly about being aware and being intentional.
Okay.
And I think that's how you are able to reverse engineer yourself is by, being intentional, and being aware as a whole. So ultimately, it's just trying to build a community of people that, think in the same way, and then that's trying to, grow. Because if we all grow, if you know how you interact with me, if you know that it was, if you know the energy that you carry when you walk in a room, you might carry it differently. And if he takes on that same concept and he takes on that same concept, now we all raising the vibrations.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So that's ultimately like there's really a science behind it too. Like we all have an energy field. Like you ever like at home and maybe your wife is in a room, she's pissed off and you can feel the energy from where you're at. Like we all have like an energy field. And if you actually like look into it, like the average person has an energy field that spreads like 8 to 10 feet beyond their body. But someone who has a very strong, what they call an aura, their energy field spreads 12 to 15 feet beyond their body. So that's why you can literally feel people's energy. It's an actual thing.
That's crazy. So at this point, you've got a concept behind a brand. You're wanting to take it into apparel. You're wanting to take it. What's the thought here? What's the goal?
Yeah, I got my black car service.
Okay.
And the black car service just started being in Tennessee. I'm not sure how much of this I'm supposed to be saying.
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
No, I'm saying at this point I don't really care. Yeah. But they basically started like this like a lift program. A lot of teams do it. But it's created for like alcohol prevention to prevent guys from drinking and driving.
Yep.
So they basically give you like a credit that the team pays for, and you can book X amount of Ubers or Lyfts per day. Yeah. So some teams do Uber, some teams do Lyft. So like, throughout my career, I would pay drivers anyway. Like I'd pay them maybe $500 if you drive us, whatever the hourly rate was. But like you might pay $500 for him to take you around for 5 hours, 6 hours, explore the city, show you different restaurant, Right. They're navigating you through the city, a place that, I may have just got here this week.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this place. Oh, a couple of players recommended these places. Then my driver's going to, been in San Fran, seeing Alcatraz, driving around, getting to see the food. It's hard to park in those areas. It's hard to park. So, having a driver and meeting them and really getting to explore the city, I did it a lot of times through my driver. And then fast forward to 22, 23 in Tennessee, and we get in the free Uber Lyft program. I'm still, getting that same experience. And now I'm starting to see like the business model aspect of it. Like, hey, this could be an actual business. On Instagram, you see, influencers, they taking pictures stepping out of a black truck. So, and I was also in the space where I was looking at, man, what if I can do box trucks or 18 wheels? I want to do something in transportation. And then I saw the versatility that I could do with a black car service. Like if like the airport trips, the corporate, hourly and all that, like our bread and butter wasn't working, there's probably a AAU basketball team that needs a truck to go to, to this or that,
right.
Or whatever, or even like my family comes in town. If I want to take my family to dinner and there's 12 of us, we just either get a Sprinter van or we get 2 trucks. So like I was able to like make it make sense from like, from just a versatility standpoint. A box truck, like if you have no freight, you got no movement. I can't be more creative with a box truck.
Yeah.
So I just saw the versatility in it. And then, as I was looking or exploring through the Lyft and Uber app, I was only booking them on the highest platform. So I was only getting Uber or like the XL Black.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going on, and at this point, like my soon-to-be fiance, her dad, was in South Carolina for the 7 years driving on the Uber platform, taking over 25,000 trips, and he was studying this like class that was looking into get into more like a limo style company, and they were teaching you how to get leads and different stuff like that. So I in the season, looking through the class myself, just seeing, what it had to offer and how to stage the vehicle and how to, to get proper licensing and stuff. And, I just was like, man, let me look into this. So I basically was riding with drivers to see what vehicles they were driving, to see, what their personality was like, to see how clean their vehicle was, to see how personable they were. And I was really getting a landscape for how they were. And then that off season, I came back and they still had me on the program for like another dang near year. So when I got to Dallas, that was my way to like get an idea of what this landscape looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting drivers, and I would drive to go to dinner, or I would go here or there. I was, if I liked the driver, his vehicle, I would take it down. And then now in my company, like if we have too many trucks out, now he's my affiliate. I still make 20% off his load, off of getting him one of my clients that I can't even get to in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did that based on being almost like an undercover boss, and getting to experience their service from a customer standpoint, and then taking their number afterwards, like, hey man, like I like to get your number. So, and that's how I navigate, and I learned really like the market for the most part is I just took it from a consumer first.
So how many in the fleet?
3 technically right now. Two
Scalable
truck,
too.
And so I have affiliate vehicles too, like Sprinter vans and stuff. Like so, like I can get access to just is a job. The Swexton Hotel, with the Swexton Hotel is really nice. Like I don't know if it's what they consider boutique, but I just. Now that I understand the space of business, like I know how to work it. I had a construction company. They're doing a grand opening in Arlington, and they're looking to get a valet service. They reached out to me. I don't do valet, but I know people at the Swexton that do a really good job.
Yeah.
So I reached out, to some guys who connected with some people, and they just fulfilled that job for me. They like, oh, well, hey, we're going to make X amount of dollars. How much do you think you should be making?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, y'all can have it. Just give me a partnership with the Swexton.
Yeah. that works. Yeah.
So that, different ways like that, I get into the building just because I just understand the value. And also for my black car services, I drive. I have people reach out to me at 11, like one of my boys play for the Seahawks. He reached out to me at 11:30 one night and wanted to be picked up at 4:28 a.m. I don't mind getting out there. And, I have clients that do, I just went to New York and we onboarded a guy who owns a company called Zeta Global, I want to say is what it's called. David Steinberg, met him through a pro athlete community. It's called PAC. And he's launched over 6 IPO, or he's launched 6 IPOs. He's a billionaire. And, met him, and he invited me out to New York again. But him and his entire company of over 4,000 employees is going to be using our service when they come to Dallas.
Wow, that's great.
Just contracted with the private jet company. One of my good friends, he owns a company called Heck Jets. So, starting in July, we got the contract for a private jet company. So, like I've learned to, really, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
It's a relationship building business. And that's what, we in our, company talk a lot about is building relationships.
And so they have the way to have the service. You have the way to have the connections.
Yeah.
And so you're contracting between them to say, hey, look, we can use you as our overflow. You'll take care of this.
Yeah, but now I'm getting to the point to where, like, I just luckily have been into been in a position to where, a lot of guys spend a lot of their money while they play, and it's easy to buy jewelry, buy cars, buy houses, buy, vacations, buy $500 dinners, go places and buy all the stuff that you want when you want it. But I, been able to save well enough to where I don't need to attract any other person to join my business, because I can scale my business on my own. And I actually have people that have their own business that they've scaled to 55 million ish, and they are trying to get some ownership into my company because they see the value of it.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
And so at this point, which is going to lead, reverse or the black car service?
Right now I'm racing them.
Okay. You want to see who's going to get there.
Yeah, they're racing. But honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it just takes one relationship to just make something really scale. And this New York trip that we did.
That was it?
Yeah, it was life changing. Yeah.
That was it? That's awesome, man. Good for you.
Yeah, I actually just connected the billionaire guy that I was telling you about. Have you ever heard of something called School of Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
The guy that goes around, he interviews all of like the millionaires, billionaires, and guys that have made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I want to say he has like 3.2 million followers on that page. We just networking, starting to build a relationship with the guy that runs that, a young guy named James.
Yeah.
And the billionaire that I told you, he invited me to New York in September. So I invited James, like, hey, I think this would be a good connection. So now I'm already connecting those guys. The guy that interviews entrepreneurs that you learn how to scale companies and give advice to people, with the billionaire who's trying to launch a whole new AI company. So that's just, just finding ways to just, implement myself to add value. Like, yeah, so.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to hit you with a little scatter shooting real quick.
Yeah, let's shoot.
So, music, what kind of music you listen to?
Everything. I'm from Kansas.
Okay.
But ultimately, I like R&B, rap music. I like, I won't necessarily say I like country music, but I listen to country music, and there's a decent amount of country music that I definitely listen to. I listen to everything. I listen to frequencies.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of different stuff, but I don't have like a go-to genre. I listen to various things.
That's kind of like me. I'm super eclectic. So I started this thing. I'm going to push it out, but it's called My Last 10, right? And so I went to a funeral one time, and there was like this, we're sitting there, and these people just started singing these songs that were just traditional songs, right? And the person didn't know who they were talking about at the funeral. They didn't know anything that was going on. They played the traditional songs. They delivered a message. The guy was really just preaching. He didn't say anything about this person at all. And I just thought, it just hit me. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna start something called My Final 10. And my final 10 is, at my funeral, you're gonna play 10 songs that I want you to play. And they're gonna be just the most eclectic songs that mean something in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you go through and you just start to collect 10 and try to narrow that down,
that'd be hard.
It's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard.
But once you start doing that, you start thinking of the people and what they remind you of. And you're like, this song hits me with that person. And when they're sitting in that pew, it's going to connect,
No, that's why we talk about, energy and vibration. That's all music is a vibration.
Oh.
It's a frequency, that connects all of us.
Yeah. I mean, I always say music is a memory, right? Music is a memory of a timestamp that I had with you at some point. You know what I mean? It's like, and you hear that one song, and you're like, oh, we did that, blah, 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 or whatever. You're like, that's kind of where that's at for me, right? So I'm going to
with like a smell.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to challenge you on your own to do your final 10. That'll be that. And that. You play video games?
I used to. People say I'm too serious now.
You're too serious for it? Too serious for video games?
Yeah.
What were you in?
Call of Duty stuff. Like, I'm a big Call of Duty 2K type guy. I've never been a Madden guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Call of Duty. Actually, NCAA, I might have to.
It's coming back out.
I mean, I still got the latest system, so I'm, it's still a possibility I might go grab it.
Are you an Xbox PS guy, or are you
Xbox?
Xbox?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't get PlayStation at all. It don't make any sense to me.
Well, there's that, and then there's those PC gamer guys, and
they just take it too serious.
They're way too serious, sweating,
Yeah, they take it too serious. They don't even eat lunch. They just go
just keep going
straight to the PC.
They eat lunch on their PC.
Yeah, facts.
No, I respect you guys.
Oh yeah, y'all. Oh yeah, you look like you go crazy on the PC.
Since you've been out of the league and you're doing all this other stuff, bread. You eating bread?
Eating bread?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I know a lot of the guys stay away from bread just because they're trying to.
Man, I have no problem.
You got no problems with bread.
No, I have no problem with weight or maintaining. Like, no, I'm good.
Oh, you just naturally stay in shape.
I work out about every day. But,
okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Has that been a transition at the end of just like?
More so coming up with it's kind of like it's really up in the air honestly right now. Like if a team called me right now, I could potentially go.
Yeah.
So like I plan on potentially retiring at the end of the summer or something, or maybe the end of the year. But it's still in the air. Like because it's still potential that you can see me on the roster.
See you on the Cowboys.
Just a little hint.
See you on the Cowboys.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. But only in the Shield.
Yeah.
Only underneath the Shield.
Yeah. You
wouldn't see me play in the USFL. You wouldn't see me play in CFL. Only underneath the Shield. That's the only way you'll see me play.
I love that. Davontae, it has been a pleasure talking to you. You actually changed my perspective on a few things, and that's kind of hard to do because I'm hard-headed. So,
no, it's a pleasure being here. This is a super dope environment. Obviously, well, not obvious, but I'm a big fan of your art.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to, inquire on the piece. So.
Yeah, let's do it, man. We'll have you out to the house and show you the studio and everything else, and cook some briskets and do some cutting up.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.